So it turns out we were wrong about Pokémon Horizons in all kinds of ways, and first we've got to talk about the fact that this is the series that's finally bringing gym battles back to the Pokémon anime. I mean, even though Pokémon Journeys had the World Coronation series and Pokémon Sun and Moon had the Island Trials and a League Conference, can you believe it's been a full 7.5 years since we last got a proper gym battle? Cause after Ash Ketchum earned his last badge ever at Snowbell City Gym and got rocked by a man in a fluffy scarf at the Lumiose Conference, the Pokémon anime went off in a different direction. But the Pokémon anime is a sports anime at heart, and the gym battle structure was always a strength that kept viewers interested in Ash's adventure. So fans were sad when it looked like the beloved Gym Quest formula was gone forever. Only for Pokémon Horizons to shock everyone by suddenly sending the new trio across Paldea to battle Katie, Brassius, Iono, Kofu, Larry, Rhyme, Tulip, and Grusha. And that's just one of 10 crazy reveals from the newest episode, but before we get into the crazy and controversial stuff, it's just too cool how the first gym battles are gonna play out. Basically, Liko, Roy, and Dot are taking part in a Terastal-focused battle studies program at Naranja Academy in order to master the Terastal phenomenon. And after the Pokemon League chairwoman Gita gives the trio their Terra Orbs, their battle studies teacher Dendra explains that in order to complete the program, they need to learn how to terastalize their Pokemon and then travel across Paldea to battle the gym leaders. Apparently, students need to pass 2 tests, Basics and Implementation, and for the Basics test, they each need to beat an assigned gym leader. The gym leaders are assigned based on each student's abilities, so for whatever reason, Liko will battle Katie, Roy will battle Brassius, and Dot will battle Iono. Now, Roy lost an exhibition match with Brassius way back in episode 10, and Iono is Dot's mentor, so those 2 battles will be especially interesting from a narrative perspective. And on top of needing to clear these first 3 battles, there's also a rule that students are forbidden from Terastal battling other students during the program. But that might end up being a serious problem, because 2 of the show's villains, Sango and Onyx, have also enrolled in the Terastal program. What's miraculous is that Liko and her friends aren't as dense as Ash, so they immediately see through the costumes and know that they need to be cautious now that the explorers have infiltrated the school. Sure, perhaps they should also have told the academic staff about the situation, but then again, that could be a pretty tough one to explain. I've gotta say it's great that Pokemon Horizons is giving Sango so much attention since her outrageous personality makes her a lot more fun than the other villains and brings back a little bit of that Team Rocket magic, but I honestly hope that this arc will add some meat to Onyx, to the lady who may as well be made of cardboard, and to the other explorers as well. What's funny is that Onyx and Sango are operating under the names Onigiri and Sandwich, but considering that Sango and Onyx's English names are Coral and Sidian, I'm curious what the joke names will be in the dub. Coffee and Cider, Cocoa Coconut, and Sushi Syrup? You tell me. Unfortunately, although the school uniform suits Sango, I'm still not a big fan of Liko wearing her Indigo Academy uniform at Naranja Academy because it just feels so out of place, but I guess it does help to visually separate the characters. And what I am a big fan of is the new arc school anime vibe that brings the academy from the video games to life. I mean, the first class with Dendra was exactly what you'd expect, an intense exercise session in the schoolyard, and not only does the biology teacher Jacques feel right on point, but he's making the trio write these reports that'll need to be filled out with photos and videos of wild Pokemon they meet on the adventure across Paldea, which sounds pretty fun. Another funny thing about Jacques is that he's called Zinnia in Japanese, not to be confused with Zinnia from Omega Ruby and Sapphire. But as cool as it was meeting the teachers, if you've seen the episode, then you've probably noticed that some very important characters were all but missing, because up until now, Liko was traveling with the Rising Volt Tacklers on a worldwide quest to find the 6 heroes, the 6 superpowered Pokemon of the ancient adventurer Lucius. But then Black Rayquaza beat the crap out of the Brave Olivine, their airship, stranding the group in Paldea until the mechanic waifu can fix up the ship. In the meantime, most of the Rising Volt Tacklers are hanging out doing odd jobs, and Professor Freed and Captain Pikachu are heading out on their own adventure. So Liko, Roy, and Dot were given the perfect chance to break off from the group and get stronger by studying at Naranja Academy. And this is a really good thing, because as much as I love them, having the adults around to bail out the kids time and time again was really starting to stifle their growth. Now they are setting out across Paldea to battle the region's gym leaders with nothing but some camping gear and their friends, just like Ash did in his older adventures, and that's pretty exciting, because Pokemon has always been a coming-of-age story about kids setting out on their own to struggle, to grow, to make something of themselves, and the new K-pop style opening by a Korean girl group hammers home the show's new direction, since it's totally focused on the trio with Freed and Cap only showing up for a split second. The cherry on the cake is just how nostalgic the new direction is, since apart from the aim to be a Pokemon Master miniseries, we haven't really seen a cross-country adventure like this since the XY days. On the other hand, what's totally fresh is the sheer number of female characters in the show. I mean, just look at this shot from the opening that Japanese fans are talking about. As you can see, we have Penny, Dot, Anne, Liko, Nemona, and just one lonely boy, Roy, who'd probably be living the harem anime dream if he wasn't more like the family pet than a main character. Of course, every Pokemon anime series has had plenty of cool female characters in the cast, but the girl-to-boy balance has always swung the other way, or at least broke even. Now, Roy is outnumbered by Liko and Dot, and the supporting cast members make this look more like a shoujo anime than it did already. So combined with the K-pop opening and ending and the softer vibes that Liko has always brought to the anime as a female lead character, this seems like another intentional move to increase the show's pull among female audiences. Not to mention that the previous arcs also loaded up on cool and capable female characters like Molly, Orla, and Diana, so it's different but refreshing. Kinda like when Final Fantasy XV went balls to the walls with an all-male cast. Now, Nemona is just as battle crazy as she is in the video games, and it will be especially fun to see how Penny and Dot interact, but one addition to the supporting cast that really got fans talking is Liko's friend Anne from the Indigo Academy over in Kanto. In the show's very first episode, Anne absolutely destroyed Liko in a battle at their home school, but this time, Liko beats the lunch out of her, showing just how much she's grown during her adventures with the Rising Volt Tacklers, even with Freed and Captain Pikachu there to protect her. The battle itself was fast-paced and well animated like most of the other battles in the series, and the fact that they brought Anne back at this point shows that she has a role to play. Not to mention that from early on in the series, a lot of fans suspected that she could even be a spy working for the Explorers. And even if she isn't, I seriously wonder if she'll turn out to be Sango's little sister. I mean, just look at those teeth. But even better than the return of maybe that's Coral's sister are all the Paldean characters that this new episode brought into the mix. Cause on top of Director Clavel, Gita, Dendra, Jacques, Penny, Nemona, and silhouettes of Paldea's gym leaders, we also saw the entire Elite Four from Hassel to Poppy to Larry to Rika. But what might surprise you is that out of all these character reveals, it's actually Rika who made the biggest impact in Japan. And it's not just because of how she gets Liko all fired up when they meet at Naranja Academy, but because of how she talks. Firstly, Rika has obviously always been a fairly androgynous character, so it's no surprise that this is reflected in her voice. But even so, many Japanese fans still seem to be surprised at just how deep it is. Now, Rika's voice actor is Mitsuki Saiga, who voices similarly ambiguous characters like Yelena in Attack on Titan or Hayase/Kahaku in To Your Eternity, so she is the perfect voice actor for the role. However, various fans have noted that something just feels a bit off with the voice. And while it could just be that the voice is surprisingly deep, even for a tomboy character, I think what's really happening is that there's something odd about how the voice has been mixed. Like it just doesn't quite fit with the rest of the sound design. But although I'm curious if they'll tweak the mix moving forward, what's even more interesting about Rika is her Kansai dialect. The Kansai dialect is basically a set of dialects in Midwestern Japan, and Rika was also written like this in the Japanese version of Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. However, since Kansai is the model for Pokemon's Johto region, where the in-universe Kogane dialect is spoken, it's got Japanese fans wondering if Rika actually grew up in Johto. So it would be super cool if the anime actually seized the opportunity to clarify her origins. But the best thing about Rika, the Elite Four, and the other Paldean characters is that seeing them and knowing how they will be involved in the story confirmed that Pokemon Horizons is not going to shortchange Paldea like Pokemon Journeys shortchanged Galar. I mean, not only did we never get to see Galar in much detail, but Hop and other cool supporting characters got totally shafted, and fan favorites like Nessa and Milo never even appeared. But this time we have a clear game plan, and we know that we'll be seeing most of, if not all of, Paldea's key characters. So even though it's a little sad to see the epic airship adventure put on pause, it is amazing that we're not only getting to see all these characters and locations, but also going cross-country to battle the region's gym leaders like back in the days of Ash Ketchum. Not to mention that we are now getting 3 gym battle episodes in a row. But when it comes to Paldean gym leaders, who's the best?